Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're excited to have Todd Rowland, expert in the field of drops. This guy's got the knowledge, education, a master's in nutrition. So he's been around for over 20 years, but with the drops, over a decade. So he knows what he's talking about when we talk about our body balancing skinny drops. So we're excited to have him come on here and share. Most of you have maybe been on the drops, tried the drops, but maybe not really understand how they really benefit our body and how they really work. And so we're gonna have him kind of break down that a little bit and share us how and why we need these drops in our lives.
I thought we'd start a little bit just for some of you who do not know us. We have been on the drops on and off for about 10 and a half years, almost 11 years. When we first started the drops, we lost 40 pounds. I was looking for other avenues with the drops. I was looking for better mood, not as tired. I had some things going on. I was taking some medications I really wanted to get off of. And when you start to gain weight, you get these things called comorbidities. And comorbidities are different diseases or different things that happen as you gain weight. So like blood pressure, you'll have blood sugar problems, your lungs, maybe you're not sleeping as well, you get sleep apnea. All these little things start to pile up. And you got to just step back and think, how did I get here? How did I do this? And so that the goal for me was to try these drops. Okay. And so I found them. I wanted to buy them, and I felt like John needed them too because we were at our biggest at that point in time. So we started, and you know what I found out? I actually woke up feeling good. It had been a long time since I felt good. And to be able to wake up and have the energy and have a mood shift, don't you think? A mood shift that was just like, wow, I can't keep quiet about this. I have to tell people. And so that was my endeavor. I started, John lost 40, I lost 40, and we just started telling people, and it has been beautiful. We've had no side effects, nothing that's happened in the 10 and a half years that we've been using these. This is not a fad. A lot of people will see it in those drop things. It's just a fad. It'll be in and out. It's been 12 years, you guys. I've known about it since, well, I guess it's almost 11. So I just want you guys to know what you're about to learn tonight is something that I felt was really, really important because there are people who have bought these drops and never even opened this box. We have people, we're check on them. How's it going? Haven't opened the box. Well, guess what? They don't work in the bottle. They don't work in the box. You got to get them into your system. And there's a way to do this. And all the instructions come with this, with a book, a little booklet. And it tells you if you're after weight loss, follow the guide. Follow the guide. It's that simple. Lean meats, fruits, and vegetables. God's food. We're not trying to starve you. We're trying to help you. It is a low glycemic diet, and we want you to get all the benefits. And if you don't tune in and get on page with it, you will miss the opportunity of it working. So we want to make sure, why we want you to know why the drops are great. We want you to know how you went wrong if it didn't work for you. We want to help you get reset. And so that's what this call's about. And I'm so glad to have you, Todd. I've known Todd for 10 and a half years. But he's been on these drops and used these drops for what, almost 12 now, right? Almost 12 years. So I'm gonna let you talk, and then we'll interrupt and interject and ask questions.
Okay, so I've got what I want to do to start with is explain what the drops are designed to do in your body to get your body on your side, what it needs from you, and then kind of what to expect from them. And that's going to vary depending on how you arrived here. But as Kristi just said, weight loss is wonderful. We all want to look prettier in the mirror. We want our clothes to fit. But what we really want is to have a good, long life without disease. We want to give ourselves the best chance for longevity and without the crisis of something going extremely wrong and our kids having to take care of us or our spouse having to take care of us. And there's nothing that puts you more in danger of a crisis than walking around consistently with elevated blood sugar. And one of the side effects of consistent elevated blood sugar is weight gain. It is high blood pressure. It is high triglycerides. It is high bad cholesterol. And as a matter of fact, if you ever get your blood work done and you have elevated triglycerides, elevated LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and you have elevated blood pressure, you need two of the three, and it's 100% guarantee you have what's called insulin insensitivity or metabolic syndrome, which in simple terms, is elevated blood sugar before they call you a pre-diabetic. And if you are a pre-diabetic or have been called a type 2 diabetic, in the medical world, they call that the 10-year death sentence. And I'm not saying that as a scare tactic. I'm saying it's very serious. All-cause mortality, the risk of being diagnosed with some type of cardiovascular event, whether that's aneurysm, heart, whatever it might be, is elevated. A lot of doctors say tenfold. Our top doctor, Dr. Strand, says 25-fold more likely to have one of those events. And I always share this. We signed up a guy, maybe it's been about 6 months ago. I did a home party for him, but he is the #1 cardiac surgeon in the country. He's out of Jackson, Mississippi for a thing called aortic stenosis. And what I just shared with you guys about the elevated blood sugar, the increased risk of cardiovascular event. Also, by the way, it's the same for cancer, like a 25-fold elevated risk of being diagnosed with cancer. But generally, when I speak at a doctor's house, I like to know because every doctor is different, and all doctors aren't necessarily in tune with the nutritional world, but they're all different. You can never put them in a class together. So after that, his name is Dr. Thurman, Ross Thurman, if you want to look him up online on his specialty. But afterwards, Dr. Thurman had gotten there late, and I asked him out in the driveway as we were talking. I said, what I said in there in the living room, I just wanted to make sure I didn't offend you. You didn't disagree with. I mean, you're the cardiac surgeon. You're the expert, not me. And he said, and by the way, one other thing I said in the living room was, I said, Dr. Strand says that 70% of the people in our country today walk around with the metabolic syndrome or insulin sensitivity. So I asked him, I said, what do you think about what I said? What is your opinions? And he said, well, let's start with this. He said, Dr. Strand is coming in low. He said, it's 80% of the country walking around with metabolic syndrome now. But he said, in my practice, 100% without exception, the adults that end up on my operating table have elevated blood sugar. There is zero exception. He says, the only exception is some children have a genetic issue that puts them on my table. But he said 90% of the kids are there because of elevated blood sugar. So we must get it under control. So let's move now to the drops and what they are designed to do. So we all know on this call, I think everybody here has at least tried them, maybe own them, is that there's 2 bottles. The clear bottle is the homeopathic piece of the bottles. There's 11 homeopathic ingredients in there. One of them, and if you're like to do your research, it's actually called Thyroidium 9X. Ours come from sheep glands when you begin to do your research, but it is absolutely the most effective ingredient on planet Earth from a natural standpoint to help you bring your thyroid into balance, whether it's high or low, hyper or hypo, whether it's Graves' disease, which is a high one, or my mind is blank. What's the low one?
Hashimoto's?
Hashimoto's, thank you. Yeah, even if you have Hashimoto's, we get tremendous results. But I will tell you, moving the thyroid in any direction is a slow go. So if you're a woman and you know that you have a low thyroid, our drops are not fixing you in a month. It's going to be a 3-4 month journey to get that thyroid in balance. And the importance of the thyroid is it is a controller of metabolism, energy, mood. It's very, very important in the weight loss journey because the more elevated our metabolism is, the more calories we burn while we're not doing anything. So that's one thing. A couple of the other ingredients there suppress your ghrelin hormone. That is our hunger hormone. I've got my master's in nutrition, but that does me no good at all on the weight loss journey. Losing weight is a 24-hour decision, 365 days a year for the rest of our life. The body is a living organism. It always cracks me up when people tell me they rebounded from a diet. Of course you did. Your body is going to react to what you did yesterday to it, not what you're doing today. So if I'm eating good and I'm losing weight and all of a sudden I stop doing that, well, guess what? The body gets to react to what you're now doing to it. That's feeding it lots of simple sugars and carbs. Again, it's going to start expanding the wrong direction again. So always remember that your body's a living organism. So we want that ghrelin hormone suppressed, which gives us good decision-making ability day in and day out, making the right choices. Some other ingredients really help stabilize blood sugar. That is the #1 reason we eat wrong. If you have the insulin insensitivity going on, what that means is your pancreas and your insulin are not working as effectively as it used to work. And what happens in that world is we eat something, especially middle-aged women in the morning, we spike our insulin. And what happens is our blood sugar went up, insulin spikes. And when insulin spikes, that's go get the blood sugar, the glucose. It's going to store it in your liver and muscle as glycogen, stored energy, and or a fat cell if you have too much. But when you have the insulin sensitivity going on, when it's released, blood sugar doesn't come back to normal. It pulls it below baseline. And when blood sugar goes below baseline, that's when we get what's called hangry, meaning we have got to have something to pull that blood sugar back up yesterday. We have an attitude, we don't feel good, and there's really the most disciplined person cannot overcome it. Sugar's so addicting, not only based upon the blood sugar, but it's also very addicting to the brain. There's a neurologist that just ran a big study on it. And her book is called Bright Line Eating, but she says it's more addicting on the brain, on the serotonin release than when you snort cocaine. So just know you're up against a lot trying to break this addiction. There are other homeopathic ingredients that help detoxify. There's some that help nerve ending damage. I really love the new ingredient for the nerve ending damage got put in there about 2 years ago. And as I travel, almost every meeting I go to now, I hear great stories about neuropathy in the feet, feeling better, less pain, less aches. So all that's going on in bottle one, but bottle one is a slower move. So if I have things going wrong, I have really elevated blood sugar, I have a bad thyroid, be patient. It may be month 2 or 3 before they really kick in and start getting you the results you want. Bottle two moves the needle very quickly if you're deficient in what I'm about to go through. So bottle two has got the good form of B12. It's called the methylated form. The other form is cyanocolabine. Methoxycolabine and cyanocolabine are the two forms. Cyanocolabine is going to constitute almost every B12 product you go find at the grocery store, at Walgreens, at Walmart, those kinds of places. It will be cheaper. It's easier to make. Do your own research. Do not trust me. But cyanocolabine, cyano stands for cyanide. It's not absorbable. It does you no good, and it is poisonous. So most of us supplementing in those fashions with B12 are getting zero benefit. Matter of fact, the form we have, the methylated form, it's not digestible either. So if you're not sublingually absorbing it or going to the doctor and getting the shots, you're not doing any good. But here's the importance of the good form of B12. Again, it's a big role in metabolism. But B12, and again, you can go to pubmed.gov and research behind me. That is your government medical website. There's like 2,000 published papers now on the importance of having elevated B12. It helps with anxiety. It helps with depression. Many, many women, like we don't even say that in front of the room when we're presenting, but within 3, 4, 5 weeks, I have women in every single meeting, especially middle-aged girls, 30, 40 years old. By the way, if you don't know this, 38 is middle age unless you really take care of yourself, because 76 is the average lifespan, 78 for women. So it's not 50. 50, you're way past middle, unless you're really taking good care of yourself and planning on living to 100. So those middle-aged girls come to us very quickly and say, listen, I feel so much better. My doctor took me off my depression medication. They took me off my anxiety medication, which are all drugs we don't want to be on. I'm never going to suggest you do that yourself, but if your doctor takes you off of it, wonderful, wonderful news. So if you are low in B12, you're the woman that thinks the drops are a miracle on about day 3 or 4, because it's a water-soluble vitamin. We can move that needle upward very quickly. Never worry if you go to the doctor and they tell you have slightly elevated B12, it will confirm to you our B12 works. But again, it's a water-soluble vitamin, and it's going to be different every single day you test it. So, you're getting blood work done, don't do it for 3 or 4 days. And that way it won't be elevated when you get your blood work done. So now let's move to the approved food list that comes in the book. Very, very important. This is not Partner Co. This is not Skinny Drops. This is not Body Balance and Drops, some new diet. This is the low glycemic food index that was written by the top type 2 diabetic doctor in the world many decades ago. It is absolutely what every human being on earth should be eating from. There's different variations of it. Some people call it paleo. Some people call it ketogenic. Some people call it whole foods. Some people call it the carnivore diet. But it doesn't matter what you call it. If you'll just look at what every one of the diets that work, which I just named you, all the diets that really work well, look what they eliminate. All of them eliminate the simple sugars and simple carbs, the crackers, the chips, all the cakes, the cookies, all the things we know we can't have. So don't be deceived. They all are the same thing. They're just marketed differently. So the low glycemic food index is really simple. It is lean meats. It is healthy fats. Healthy fats are desperately needed in your body. Green olives, avocados, macadamia nuts. Google it. Google healthy fats for my body. Coconut oil. A lot of people start their day with what they call a fat bomb. You put a tablespoon of coconut oil in your coffee. Get that good fat in your body. Women, a couple eggs and half an avocado. There is no better way on planet Earth to start your day. No blood sugar spike. It'll create stasia for the day. Just really, really good. But when you eat from that food list consistently, the reason we don't have to count calories is because that food list will not spike insulin. And if we're not spiking our storage hormone that makes us store fat, we're not going to be gaining fat. That fiber will connect. It'll go right through your digestive system and come out. So oftentimes people eat more on our program than they were eating before they arrived and start losing weight, because before they arrived, they were all over the place on how they eat. They might not eat but 2 meals a day, but those meals included some form of liquid sugar, whether that was a Gatorade or a Dr. Pepper or sweet tea. They're all the same. And generally speaking, simple carbs, and then finishing it off with a dessert full of sugar. Insulin is spiked, and you're just train wrecked from a weight loss standpoint. Now then, I'm going to cover a couple of things you're going to experience and how to overcome it. The keto diet calls what I'm about to tell you, they call it the keto flu. When you are insulin insensitive, and you're not used to burning fat for energy, they call it fat adapted or not fat adapted. Many people in today's world have a really hard time switching from burning glucose or glycogen, which is sugar in the blood, liver, and muscle, into burning fat. So when the body gets depleted of that glucose and glycogen, it won't flip on the fat burning machine. So you feel weak, you feel irritable, and it's really where a lot of people quit the journey, because they don't know what's going on. They don't know why they feel bad. They don't know why they've got a migraine or a headache. It is because the body is trying to learn how to start burning fat for energy. If you can ever get there, when you burn ketones or fat for energy, it is the cleanest, best energy you ever had. You don't go up and down. You don't get tired after you eat. It is a sweet, sweet place. So I always say, if you have trouble going through it, there's a couple of things you can do. One, add another drop or two a day. Instead of doing it 3 times a day, do it 4 or 5. If you're a bigger person, I always suggest that anyway. But the number one way to get through it is up your water intake. So the minimum is half your body weight in ounces. But if you are going through that, if you're feeling some of that, sometimes it's toxicity, sometimes it's the fat burning machine won't turn on, but elevating your hydration will help tremendously. What I'm about to tell you, nobody makes any money on, so you'll know it's the truth, because we do not have an electrolyte. But I highly suggest going to Amazon and ordering. I just tell people to find a keto electrolyte. If you know what you're looking for, you can get others, but just make sure you don't get one full of sugar. But get you a good keto electrolyte, put that in water a couple times a day. I always suggest people start their morning before you do anything else on planet Earth. Start your morning with as much water as you can drink. Squeeze a lemon in there if you really want to detoxify. If you really, really want to detoxify, put a little apple cider vinegar in there too. It'll make you feel a little nauseous, but then after you drink it, you can then go to your coffee or whatever you want to follow that up with. But I do suggest sometime in the morning coming back with an electrolyte in your water, because sometimes when you drink water, it doesn't necessarily hydrate the cells. That first water, we don't really want it hydrating the cells yet. We want it. Remember, our liver and kidneys have worked all night cleaning us. So we got to help them in the morning time get rid of the oog and junk and yuck. It's pulled out of our blood system all night long. Flush it before you put that coffee in there. It's kind of like washing white t-shirts in coffee if you don't do that. Wash it first, then you can have your coffee and get your energy. And then come back sometime after you drink your coffee, and the next thing you're going to drink is like a 12 or 16 ounce electrolyte water. And then, scatter those throughout the day, depending on how much activity you have. But you can find good ones, play around with it, find one that makes that water taste good, that'll keep that water going in you. Make sure I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget anything. So bottle 1, bottle 2, sugar addiction. The toxic removal is also going on. So we're stimulating detoxification. Women notoriously don't sweat enough. Nobody sweats enough in Nebraska this time of year, more than likely. So the only other 2 ways you're going to detoxify is deep breathing. You can YouTube it. There are deep breathing exercises to detoxify, and then urination or defecation. So you do want to make sure you're going to the restroom. That sugar stop is a great add-on to make sure you've got that fiber. You are going to the restroom. I think that's going to relaunch tomorrow with maybe a flash sale, and let's be able to get it at a discount. I really like adding that into my arsenal of things. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell. So, Christian, instead of me rambling on it, I'll just open it back up to you guys to ask questions and
Well,
anything clarify.
that part when you said the toxic removal, sometimes we get a call, or sometimes people have felt like, hey, what's going on with my bowels? I'm having diarrhea. I'm having these, what's going on? I must be reacting to this. And I always just say, no, you're detoxing. You have a lot of crap in you. You got to get it out.
So true.
So, I mean, that is a common thing, you guys. So if you hear that from anybody, it won't last long. Just keep drinking fluids.
Right.
And I will ask it, that electrolyte, will that help that a little bit?
It actually it actually might be the opposite, because electrolytes do have magnesium and potassium. And
Yeah.
if you're kind of sensitive to it, it actually can give you even a little bit more runny stool. But again, it will clear up, and it's not a bad thing. Like
Yeah.
women don't understand this. Women notoriously do not go to the restroom enough. But if you want to be optimal healthy, you should go number 2 twice a day. Now, you don't have to go twice a day. Once a day is sufficient. But if you're not going at least once a day, you're backing up. Like, the toxins are not getting out of your body. That's just things to keep in mind. And if you do have access to a gym, there's not many things that every research doctor agrees on. Like, there's a lot of, unless you've been around like I have for 35 years, evaluating them all and trying to find that happy medium of all the experts, can kind of get confused listening to people. But one of the things that I don't know anybody that disagree with is people that sit in a sauna 20 minutes or more, 3 to 4 times a week, live a lot longer than the ones that don't. It is just overwhelming out there. I don't see any science that disagrees with that from anybody.
That's very interesting. Very interesting. So, I was, when you mentioned, Sugar Stop, it's funny because I have a picture right here of this beautiful product that okay, you guys, it debuted in September. It sold out in 1 day. I mean, that's how fast we haven't been able to touch it. So they're having a flash sale tomorrow. It is an add-on. It is an add-on to what we have. And so what we can do is we can, let's go ahead and move that off of this slide real quick.
Well, she's showing right there.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to talk about it here because that's all the prices and everything. And I just really want to talk about this. This right here does what?
Okay, so
sentences.
Remember, we're eating from the low glycemic food index. So what is the why did this type 2 diabetic doctor identify this diet? And the answer is really simple. 1 gram of fiber cancels 1 gram of sugar and or simple carbs. A simple carb and sugar are exactly the same when it reaches the blood. They both are turned to the same exact glucose. I always tell people a banana, when it hits the blood, is the same sugar as a Snickers bar. That's the reason you cannot have a banana in your smoothie in the morning time and expect to lose weight that day if you're a woman. You got to, like, all those things are kind of confusing until you learn the science behind it. So the reason for Sugar Stop is it allows you, if you're going to have some simple carbs, let's say you had some bread on a sandwich at lunch. You should never have bread unless it's Ezekiel frozen bread, unless you make it yourself. If you make it homemade and have fiber in it, it's okay, but there's no store-bought bread anymore unless you get it in the frozen food section. Ezekiel bread is the only one that I know of currently. There may be another one, but if it's not in the frozen food section, it's all a lie. Because if it's not there, it's going to be ruining, and it would have to have all kind of preservatives in it. So that being said, if I ate bread for lunch, let's just say that bread had 9 grams of simple carbs, and I go and take Sugar Stop and put it in my water. I'm saying this off the top of my head, but I believe that Sugar Stop has 3 grams of sugar in it and 10 grams of fiber, which gives you a net 7 grams of fiber left over. So if that bread had 10 grams of simple carbs and you put that Sugar Stop in there, you'd have a 7-gram erase. It would leave you with a net of 3, which would not cause a blood sugar spike at all. We have been testing this. I've got about a dozen people that wear those self-glucose monitors that are type 2 diabetics. I've had them add Sugar Stop in with the things they know that spike their blood sugar, and they all see it doesn't spike it nearly to the same level when they add the Sugar Stop in. So it is the real deal. So going through Christmas, these next 2 weeks, take your drops, add Sugar Stop in around the bad meals. You may not lose a lot of weight, but it will keep you from gaining, and you'll be off the races when you get your discipline back around December 27th. And we all do that time of the year. And by the way, that little girl that keeps looking in the camera is cute.
I know. That's
Jenny
Jenny's.
Dickerson's.
I keep looking at her too. Will that Sugar Stop cause any, because of the fiber, will it cause any kind of gas or,
no gas, but it should make you go to the restroom. I mean,
Okay.
that's what most people do not get enough fiber. So if you are eating like a carnivore more diet, sometimes that can cause constipation because meat does not have fiber in it. Or if you're eating processed foods, simple carbs, they also can cause constipation. So the fiber will help rectify that big time. And if you're
Okay.
eating, fibrous foods like apples, fibrous salads, nuts, seeds, all the things we know, that also helps, good digestive flow.
Okay, that's great. And you guys, just so you know, they're having a flash sale on that tomorrow before it debuts and actually people can order it. So if you want to get your hands on it, tomorrow's the flash sale. And I hope it doesn't run out like it ran out that one day in September. So they are doing a flash sale on that tomorrow, just so you know.
While supplies last, they are.
While
So they are,
supplies
yeah,
last,
they
they
they are
did
going to
say that.
limit it. We don't know what the number is. But they are going to limit it because they want to make sure that they do have some beyond this flash sale. So
Yeah, and going into this as we're coming to an end here, I feel it's really necessary. All of us we're intrigued. We want to know. We want to know how we can do better, but it's never fun to do it alone. And so, I drug my husband into this with me, and we had great success. So ladies, for the ladies on here or the men, get your spouses involved, but also just know on December 18th, Sarah, if you'll put that on the post that really quick. On December 18th, we're having a special call. I want you to get with the person who invited you on here. They will get you the link to learn about this. But on December 18th, we are all coming together to hear about this body balance challenge for 25. It starts in January. So we're going to get through the holidays, but we got to start. We got to start planning, right? And so with that, there's going to be some great prizes and giveaways. I don't know if Todd, do you have any idea on any of that?
I know they're going to put a lot of good prizes on it. The more important part, we all want to win. You'll get a lot of recognition, but it's going to be a community of us. I'm always very upfront with people. The weight loss journey is hard. Do you think 70% of Americans want to walk around obese with elevated blood sugar with a death sentence to die much sooner than they were supposed to? No, people don't want to do that. Everybody would rather be skinny and pretty and live for as long as we can. Nobody's going to live forever, but we all want to be healthy. It's hard. It's day in and day out decisions that start from the second you wake up to the time you go to bed. The drops are designed to make the process way easier. And I know that they do because I know all this stuff. I mean, I say it over and over and over. But when I'm by myself, driving down the road, and I walk in the gas station, I'm starving, I don't have time to eat at a normal restaurant, and there's nothing around but fast food restaurants, I have to make the same freaking decisions that everybody here does. And I know personally, when I'm on the drops, I make those decisions at about a 98 percentile.
Yes.
If I run out of drops and I've not been on them for 2 weeks, I'm 50-50 because I get hungry and my blood sugar drops just like yours does, and I want it really bad. And sometimes I make a bad decision when I'm not. That's the reason 11 years in, as Kristi said, I'm still taking the drops all the time because I want to make good decisions and live a long time for my kids. They're slow at delivering my grandbabies. I'm going to be an old granddad.
Well, and some people don't get that. They're just like, well, then how come you're not skinny mini? Life is a journey and we all have ups and downs. I don't know what I would look like without these drops. Seriously. I mean, and I know I would feel a lot worse because 10 and a half years ago, I was falling apart. And I think John feels the same way. It's changed our life. And that's what we're here to share with you guys, is that there is something here that is safe and effective, super clean for you and good, and get you on the right track. It is a tool. You just got to use the tool.
Hey, one last thing, Kristi. I mentioned it earlier, but y'all know him, Dr. Mike DiMiego. He was an internist that tracked a lot of data for us out of his office for a long time. But Dr. Mike always told me, Todd, us doctors, we prescribe medication based upon age and weight. He said nutrition can't do that because there just has to be something standard on the box. But if you are a bigger person, you cannot expect to weigh 220 pounds and put the drops beneath your tongue 3 times a day and get the same results as somebody that weighs 160 pounds. It's just not the same. So if you are a woman, let's say above 200, if you're a man above 275 or 250, move it to 4 or even 5 times a day for that first week until you feel the shutoff. Anybody that feels the shutoff, we all know. It's like whatever day that occurs, you're like, oh, wow. The pizza's sitting on the table, and not only do I not want it, it actually kind of make me feel sick if I were to eat it. Like, when they kick in.
Yeah, I agree. And with Andy, and thank you so much, by the way. For those who have lost at least 20 pounds, can you just wave your hands right here? Like wave up so we can see it.
Wow.
Now,
Lots.
I want you to keep your hand up if you've lost 30 pounds. Okay.
Yeah, throw it in the chat too. I want to see.
Yeah. I think it's really exciting. Wave, because I think it shows people, okay, if you've lost 40 pounds,
Read that, John, if you
keep
can.
the hands. Okay. 50 pounds.
Holy cow. Yeah, read
60
those.
pounds.
Throw them in there. I want to hear.
Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Dawn Bruning, what are you at? 60?
Unmute yourself.
67.
67 pounds.
Yes.
I think
Congratulations.
we have a couple
you.
on here. Chad and Ann Fuchs. I hope they're on here, but are they on here?
Colleen, what are you down?
Colleen, what are you down?
Braden, unmute yourself.
Just over 50 with the drops, another 15 before the drops this year.
Wow.
Okay.
That's smart.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old are you? What is your age?
I will be 67 this month.
Wow, you look great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you just
Yeah, I've
you would
never
love
dreamed
her
of
before and
67.
after.
I think you're about to say you're around 50-ish.
Well,
So
thank you.
this blows people's minds that do it. Sometimes when I'm doing local meetings, I will travel with dumbbells in my car. And because a lot of times people say that I've only lost 20 pounds, and I'll hand them a dumbbell and I say, don't set this down to the end of the meeting. And like 10 seconds in, they're like, say what? I got to keep holding this? I was like, yeah, you said you only lost 20 pounds. It's no big deal. Just hold it. They can't. But
can't.
somebody like you that's lost 57, I'll also carry like a 50-pound dumbbell around. And most women that are 67 can't even pick up a 50-pound dumbbell, like hold it up to their chest. It's like, that is ridiculously a lot. Your body thanks you, and the chances for longevity are greatly increased.
She just took a picture of herself at the store with 2 bags of dog food, and we'll have to send it to you. But I do want to, for those who were here and are in Omaha, or in this area, Todd's coming to visit. Todd and his wife are coming to visit in just a few weeks, and I hope we're gonna have some good weather for him, because he just spent a week in freezing cold temperatures in Canada.
We'll have similar, I'm sure.
We love the snow. No issue.
But I just want to say, come to that. Put that on your calendar. You're going to learn a lot. We're going to do a lot of training, and just really enjoy each other's company because we learn from each other. So thank you guys for showing up tonight. If you have any questions, or if you are a guest, get with the person who invited you. They'll help you through all of this and join the journey. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.